Wir gehen rein. Thinking Basketball mit neuem Banger. Can anyone stop Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets? Ich bin der Meinung, ja, ne, es werden noch sehr interessante Playoffs. Ich glaube nicht, dass die Nuggets Champion werden. Ich bin jetzt fest der Meinung, dass es die 76ers machen. Vom Core her haben es am besten die Boston Celtics. Die müssen aber heute Abend erstmal Game 7 gewinnen. Und spielen halt gegen die 76ers. Aber ich bin für die 76ers mittlerweile.
And the Denver Nuggets are back in the Western Conference Finals for the second time in 4 years.
Ich sag da einfach gar nichts zu, Digga, weil anderes als abgefuckt darauf zu reagieren kann ich nicht.
As we talked
Da
about
bin ich ganz
recently,
ehrlich.
the Nuggets defense has held up well in the playoffs, but the offense has been
Ja, lustigerweise. In der Season gar nicht die Defense geklappt, Digga. Vor allem die letzten 20 Spiele, glaube ich nicht. Aber dann in den Playoffs, Digga, funktioniert es auf einmal, ne? Von wegen Jokic nur als Decoy im Endeffekt in der Zone stehen haben und dann die Help-Defense von Michael Porter Jr. und Aaron Gordon kriegen.
been nearly unstoppable with Jokic. Against Phoenix, Denver scored 125 points per 100 possessions with Joker on the court, which would rank right at the top of the league, just like it did in the regular season. Nikola averaged 35 points and 10 assists per game on 66% true shooting.
Digga, das ist insane Nummern, Digga. Vor allem 35 Punkte für Nikola Jokic ist halt anders.
And the Nuggets actually outscored the Suns in every game during Jokic's minutes. He's been particularly aggressive in these playoffs, hunting his own shot, punishing teams who are reluctant to bring a double. Phoenix tried to play him straight up with DeAndre Ayton, but he just has way too many moves.
DeAndre Ayton kannst du nicht gegen Nikola Jokic packen. Der Typ hat noch weniger Defense als Nikola Jokic, Digga.
If it's not a spin, he can sort of wheel his way into a picturesque Dirk Nowitzki fadeaway. And he has this magical ability to chisel and carve his way to the hoop to find open shots, inching closer one dribble at a time until he finds space for like a 70% attempt. Jokic might have the best touch of any player in league history right around the basket, floating in swishes from short range at weird angles, and his body control and strength make this possible against the clock, decelerating for a little rolling hook. The Timberwolves tried 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert on him, and Gobert's size bothered him at times, but Jokic has so many counters, it was hard for Gobert to really stop him, going to the spinning fadeaway here, and on this one, spinning into a nasty up fake to drop it into the cup. Joker is so big and anticipates the game so well that even when he misses, he'll go grab the rebound and score anyway. And if you count these mulligans as a single scoring attempt, his efficiency jumps up about 4 percentage points. So his series against Phoenix was more like 35 points on 70% true shooting. Now, if Jokic is torching these teams, why are they so reluctant to double him? Well, it's because he might be the best passer in basketball history. We talked about his historic passing repertoire at the beginning of the season, and it creates an impossible choice for teams who can't slow him down in isolation. Sometimes it doesn't even need to be a double team. Just cheating down into help position invites a no look for an open three. Jokic just picked Minnesota and Phoenix apart, hitting cutters that don't even look open. Fall asleep for just a nanosecond and it's over. Josh Okogie reacts too slowly to the cut, and Jokic squeezes in an effortless layup pass. This time they're in transition, Jokic touch passes it to Michael Porter Jr. for another bunny, and what had happened here was Devin Booker turned to say something to the official, and that's all it takes since Joker sees everything.
Ja, beschwer dich nicht bei den Refs.
This one's really crazy. Phoenix switches the screen perfectly. There's an extra help defender in the lane, but Jokic throws it to the screener and Jeff Green gets a layup. And the opening here comes from that switch. where Green has inside position, so even with a defender right next to him and Booker literally holding on to him, Jokic sees a layup when everyone else sees congestion. Nikola must feel like Neo in the Matrix sometimes, so I guess defenders are the confused agents. But think about it. Here's a three-man game with a flare screen where the screener can turn and roll to the basket for a layup, where Kevin Durant lingers to take away that option. So that opens a window for the red-hot Jamal Murray. So now Jokic knows that Durant wants to show himself to take away that role before recovering to Murray. So in game 2, even with KD in position, Jokic throws it right to the roll man anyway. Durant's length scares away the first attempt, but Aaron Gordon's too big and it's free throws. I'm not sure what defenses are supposed to do on these actions, especially when Jamal Murray is involved. I mean, how do you defend this? Phoenix trails the handoff nicely into drop coverage, but Gordon just screens the dropping big, so a smaller defender has to switch to Jokic, and he just waits for everyone to scurry out of the paint before pirouetting into this Nerf shot. You really do not want to switch smaller players onto Jokic.
Ich hätte da so gerne, dass das in 2K funktioniert mit diesen Layups über kleinere Leute, ehrlich. Oder Layups am Korb, ne? Aber das funktioniert alles.
Because he will immediately grind them under the basket for easy points. And neither Minnesota nor Phoenix wanted to switch their shot-blocking big men, but these screening actions sometimes force a switch, so then Jokic goes to the block, and when you send help, he instantly cashes in. When they weren't switching, Jokic used his movement to his advantage, slicing off a screen that picks off Ayton to get through for an easy layup.
Viel gelaufen ist, Digga.
Off a screen
wie so ein 40-Jähriger.
That picks off Ayton to get through for an easy layup. The Nuggets love to run Jokic off screens like this around the elbow, where he can catch with an advantage and then go to work. So in game 4, the Suns adjusted to take away that cut. Jokic ends up screening instead with all that traffic, and the play is forced to reset. So, on the very next possession, when they set the same screen, instead of cutting through, Jokic flares out to the three-point line. Phoenix doesn't want to switch, and it's a warm-up shot instead. Joker
mit Abwurfgeschwindigkeit C+, ne? Ich bin gleich wieder da, ja?
His movement can be hard enough for big men to handle, but his feel for all these little things, like when to screen or when to give up the ball and instantly cut into open space, makes him a playoff nightmare for defenses. I really love this one in transition, where MPJ cuts back for a handoff. Mike Conley thinks he has his man covered, but Jokic thinks those two cuts clear out the lane, so he passes just so he can cut into that space and get it back for a dunk. Think about guarding one of these handoffs with Murray. You don't want to give him airspace on the other side for a three like this, but that also means if you're guarding Jokic and you even think about leaning, he'll keep it and toss in some running witchcraft. He and Murray have been unstoppable in their two-man game, where Jamal can come off a screen for a jumper, or on the very next possession, take an extra dribble toward the basket to draw over that big man, freeing Jokic for a little floater. Jokic's touch might make him the best short roll finisher we've ever seen. He shot 63% from the mid-range against the Suns, and if the defense overcommits to Murray's jumper, he's good enough to just hit Jokic for layups. When Phoenix brought extra defenders into that action in Game 6, it just freed up Jokic to pass. And he's probably the best short roll passer in league history, so putting two defenders on Murray creates all kinds of issues. The last area teams have to contend with is Jokic running pick.
Muss auch mal dazu sagen, ne? Man muss auch die richtigen Cutter dafür haben, damit die Punkte dann am Ende so fallen, wie sie fallen.
Pick and roll has the ball.
Weil hätte Aaron Gordon nicht da oder MPJ, dann wird das wahrscheinlich ganz schön anders aussehen.
Ball handler, because again, teams don't want to switch that ball screen, so Jokic can use that window to attack downhill. Since it was hard for DeAndre Ayton to navigate these screens, Denver ran this a few times earlier in the series so they could set up this gambit in Game 5, knowing that Durant would briefly help Ayton so the lob would be open. So, to recap, Minnesota and Phoenix struggled to stop Jokic in isolation, but they didn't want to double team him. When he wasn't scoring, he passed them to death, and his two-man game with Jamal Murray has been nearly unstoppable. There are still a few giant S-tier defenders that could possibly slow down this machine right now. But after a scorching first 2 rounds in the playoffs, I find myself wondering, is there anyone out there who can stop Nikola Jokic and this Denver Nuggets offense? If you want to work...
Ich würde das mal sehr gerne sehen gegen Embiid, Giannis oder Anthony Davis.